Bam. Okay, so we went and saw the Sherlock season premiere Fathom Event thingy. It was very, very good, I thought.
Yeah, I dug it.
I saw a couple of spoilers on the intranet about, obviously we're going to get into spoilers here, about how it's kind of, because it's like been touted as having been set in Victorian times, and it turns out to kind of be like a Mind Palace Inception type thing, and the internet was all in a huff about that being too confusing, but I didn't think it was too confusing.
I didn't find it confusing at all. I just kept waiting for it to be confusing, but it never did.
Yep, I was a little annoyed because I thought they weren't going to actually explain, because it's basically like he's solving a crime inside his mind palace in the Victorian times to try and figure out how Moriarty cannot be dead, and I was worried for a little bit that they weren't going to actually solve the mind palace crime, but then they did, so it was fine. And it was basically like, I don't know if it's because I'm a lady that I figured out almost immediately what they were talking about. Did you experience that as well?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh yes, the unseen enemy, standing invisible at your elbow. And I'm like, it's a woman. It's women. You've foreshadowed it like 5 times by now.
Immediately, John talking to like that maid chick. Like, yeah.
Or like Mrs. I'll keep on calling her Mrs. Padmore.
Hudson?
Yeah, Mrs. Hudson. All like, oh, why don't I ever talk in your stories? I guess I don't talk now. Like, yeah, it's women.
Yeah, and then there was, wow, I am not good with names all of a sudden. Mary, just randomly being like, I'm a suffragette.
Yeah!
Cool beans, Mary.
Something to do, I suppose. But yeah, it's like, it turns out that it's women, they've got some sort of like weird purple damask Ku Klux Klan type cult. And they're like using this this woman's murder-suicide to like kill their own husbands who done them wrong, and Sherlock figures it out, and it's all very there's a lot of like nodding and winking, which I think could have annoyed me, but it didn't.
Yeah.
They went before the episode started. It was Stephen Moffat kind of like walking you through the updates that they'd done to the to 221 Beat,
which I thought was kind of funny that he was like, it's very subtle, and within like the first 5 minutes, it's like zoom.
Yeah, it's like he's like, oh yeah, we could have this deer head. We put like an ear horn in.
No one would ever notice
like
it in the episode.
Like, close cut to the deer head. Close cut to the skull picture. Close cut to the knife stuck in the thing on the mantle.
I did like the thing about the deer head, though.
Yes, I thought that was cute. He was talking about how
in the
mad set designer.
In the regular show, the deer has headphones on, and so in the Victorian one, it has an like ear horn.
Yeah, it's like an ear trumpet thing.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of little stuff like that. I thought it was cute without being too, like self-indulgent.
Yeah.
But I'm just, it felt a little, you know what it felt like was in the later seasons of News Radio, they have some episodes where it's like, what if News Radio was on a submarine? Or what if News Radio was in space? And it was like, it was that sort of, yeah, okay, I see what you're doing, but you're doing it knowing that that's what you're doing, so it's fine. Yeah. Plus, they brought Moriarty back, which I always enjoy. I
love Andrew Scott so much.
He's such a good actor, and like I really like the way that he plays his character. Like to the extent that I'm a little worried they're going to start overusing him. Like, the Master in Doctor Who, or like Spike on Buffy, where like the bad guy becomes such a fan darling that they start like putting him in everything and making him too sympathetic, and then you just get mad and sick of him. But it hasn't happened yet, so we're still good. There's not a whole lot you could say about like an episode of a TV show, other than it's good because I like the TV show.
Yeah, I mean I like the TV show. Sometimes the fan base on Tumblr bothers the shit out of me.
Oh, how so?
Like, I've just seen them do annoying shit. Like, it honestly has nothing to do with the show and more to do with the fact that, like, it's a huge group of people. Like, and so, like...
Like they're getting too invested in it, or too shippy, or...
People will be like, I don't love Sherlock, it's fine, and people will be like, it's the best show on earth, you fucking moron! Kill yourself! Like... But I like the show fine.
In that sense, I can see how but there's a lot of fan bases for a lot of stuff that can get that kind of too invested in a thing. of all the things in my life that I enjoy, I don't think there's a single one where if someone didn't like that thing, I would get angry with them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, all right.
No, I'm not saying like everybody who's a fan of the show would do something like that.
Oh,
I'm just saying like
but if this one's
sometimes
got a
seeing how
particularly
they
vociferous fan base, then
Yeah, I mean like the whole Super Hulock thing on Tumblr. I think it's kind of died down recently, but a few years ago it was annoying.
I don't really know from Tumblr. I look at BuzzFeed, and sometimes BuzzFeed has articles about Tumblr, where they go through Tumblr and find funny stuff to spoon feed me. But I think I'm too old for the Tumblr. I barely understand the Instagrams. Do not understand the Snapchat. Nothing makes me feel so old as Snapchat, because Letty talked me into downloading it, and so I had one friend on there, and it was Letty, and I sent her a picture of my cat, and then I deleted the application because I didn't understand it.
I had Snapchat. I might still have Snapchat somewhere out there. I didn't really delete my account. I just deleted the app. But I had Snapchat, and then like people were sending me shit that had nothing to do with me, and that annoyed me. Like they would like. It was like people having conversations like directly in front of your face but not acknowledging you. I don't really know how else to explain it. Like,
I don't understand Snapchat. I thought it was like to text your friends pictures of your cat.
You can like, it's almost like sending out a mass text. It would be like if someone sent you a mass text but with no inclination of you seeing it or replying. Like almost just being constantly sent people's group texts by mistake.
Okay, so it's like Dave reading our mass text when he was up on the ladder.
Yeah, it almost got him killed.
Brad sent a mass text about MASH. It was about the MASH beer that you were drinking. And so we were all just texting him pictures from MASH, and David texted back, like, I was on a ladder, you jerks. My pocket's been buzzing for the last 15 minutes. I thought it was an emergency. But no, it's just you douchebags sending pictures of Klinger to each other. Sorry, Dave. Picture Klinger.
The MASH beer that we drank.
Oh, yeah.
The royal you. But yeah, there was a preview.
If it makes
in the
Dave feel any better, the beer almost killed us.
Well, I heard it at least it didn't have like floating pieces of rust in it.
Very true. I started getting really foggy after we drank it.
Did you go to your mind palace? We went too deep, Brad. It's good. I don't know. I really do like it. I'm glad you told me his name is Andrew Scott, because I just keep calling him Moriarty, no matter what he's in. He's basically like...
I honestly could not remember his name, because for the longest time I was thinking of Moriarty as being Andrew Moriarty for some reason. Just combining the two. And then when I realized it was Jim Moriarty, I was like, fuck yeah, Andrew Scott, that's his name. There was like an after the show thing of like the making of it, but more really just interviews with the cast, so I feel like saying the making of was a little misleading.
It's like the behind the Sherlock or whatever, because I don't tend to watch those things, like the making, how the sausage gets made type things. I don't listen to commentary if I have on good authority that it's got jokes in it, like the Dr. Horrible sing-along blog commentary track is also musical, so that one was fun. But like generally speaking, I don't need to hear how they did shots and what Benedict Cumberbatch's favorite part was, you know. But Andrew Scott's part was adorable.
It was so cute,
super Irish, and I'm a sucker for an Irish accent.
It was pretty much just him and Mark Gatiss making each other giggle.
And I didn't realize, again, because I don't watch those things, that he's a co-creator in the show. I just thought he played the brother.
I somehow thought Mark Gatiss and Mark Gatiss were two different people.
It's like, oh, the Mark Gatiss of the Connecticut Gatisses. But yeah, it was cute. I was telling Brian outside when we were all chit-chatting that I like an Irish accent like that, not like Faith and Begorra type thing, but like what I think of as a proper Irish accent, which is probably just a Dublin Irish accent, because that's the accent that my grandma had when I was growing up, and that my dad had before, as he put the nuns beat it out of him. Then now he only has when he's telling a joke, but it's very like kind of like a whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. They say instead of and grandma used to call me Pesh, which is pet. but with a wind whistling through the trees kind of accent to it.
Okay.
It makes me nostalgic, and also he's super hot. We got a preview. We can talk about the preview.
Yeah, we did get a preview, didn't we?
I've never heard of that before. It's called The Witch, I
Yeah.
guess. And it looked terrifying. But
Yeah, I was kind of just like, I'm gonna look through my purse because this is creeping me the fuck out.
It's like this puritanical family, and then there's a witch that's making the sheep milk blood, and they're like whipping their children and tying them to posts, and about how you expect an actual witch thing would happen in that era, not so much like the Hocus Pocus bullshit, but not to say I don't love the movie Hocus Pocus, but that's not historically accurate. But yeah, there's a lot of like paranoid wandering through the woods. But I'm not gonna go to that movie. That's a Brad and Brian movie, so
Because it had like intense music showing a series of like really intense images, and it ended up being intense, but it was like this really intense close-up of a sheep going bah.
terrifying.
And the sheep ended up milking blood, or I think it was a goat, actually.
Yeah, probably.
It was some kind of milk animal.
It makes sense. I don't think they milk sheep.
I don't think so either. I think sheep make...
I am not farm savvy.
I'm not either. I mean, I grew up in a farm town, but we did corn and beans.
Well, I didn't actually see corn in the wild until I moved down here, because I grew up by Chicago, and it was basically like, I know corn
it's feral
exists.
corn!
My aunt apparently, because my aunt lived in Mattoon, she used to go out to the cornfield, and apparently, and the way she tells it is when they grow corn, the one on the outside is what you call the feed corn, and it's not useful at all, but if you sneak into the middle, that's where the good eatable corn is, and so she'd sneak in and she'd steal corn. Like a fine upstanding citizen would. And that is my full knowledge of corn. Also is that it gets as high as an elephant's eye, which is probably about like that big.
I've had more experience with corn than elephants, so I couldn't really tell you.
Not a lot of elephants in the wild.
The only thing I had been spoilered on for this was I saw a Tumblr post that said, should I be worried that when Sherlock gets high, his hallucination is of Moriarty making boner jokes, licking a gun, and talking about how sexy he is.
Let's be real, that was not for Sherlock, that was for these guys. I think that was my favorite part of the episode, when like he's wandering around Sherlock's house and he's like, oh, did you know the dust is made out of like human cells? And Sherlock's like, yes. And he's like, like, I don't know why that's gross, but it is.
I mean, dust is pretty gross.
It is super gross, but not as gross as my reaction to him eating dust was. I'm out of stuff. Are you out of stuff?
Pretty much.
Okay. Bye!